Hey guys, I hope everyone's day is going well, and today we are reviewing quite possibly the most unique and wild yo-yo I've ever put on this channel. Today we're going to be looking at the StupidWide. So before we get any further, just take a look at this thing. Yeah, this is gonna be an interesting one. Okay, so first things first, I wanna give a quick shout out to the creator of this yo-yo, Dale Tubat. Dale has actually been in the yo-yo community for a really long time. I'm gonna totally embarrass myself saying this, but if I'm not mistaken, Dale was the creator of a old YouTube tutorial that showed you how to polish the rims of a yo-yo. And so one of my very first videos on this channel was showing off my newly polished Horizon yo-yo. I'm gonna throw a clip of it right here, but Dale was the creator of the tutorial that I referenced in this video.
Hey guys, this is Jonathan. Here I've got my newly polished Yo-Yo Factory Horizon. Now, for a tutorial on how to polish yo-yo's rims or any surface that you'd like, I'll have the link in the description for which tutorial I used.
So yeah, Dale has been in the yo-yo game for a while, and he's been creating some really unique yo-yos recently, this being one of them. So I want to give a shout out to him. He reached out asking if I wanted to review this yo-yo, and of course I said yes. So really appreciate him. I'm going to include his storefront in the description down below, and then also his contact information so you guys can check out all of his cool stuff. He's a really insanely good yo-yo player and also makes some pretty wild yo-yos, so highly suggest it once you finish up with this video. But anyways, let's talk a little bit about this insane yo-yo. So I gotta throw the specs of this yo-yo on the screen so you guys can see exactly what this thing is packing. It is quite the interesting yo-yo. Okay, so just about every little thing about this yo-yo is unique and irregular. So the diameter of 59.5 millimeters, that's pretty big. That's a lot larger of a diameter than most yo-yos. The width of 84.5 millimeters. I have never seen a yo-yo this wide in my entire life. This thing actually looks nuts. And then it's worth noting that this is a 3D printed yo-yo. So it's not the conventional plastic mold. It's not the conventional metal machining process. This is 3D printed, making it pretty unique. So the weight actually varies based on the filament densities. So it could be anywhere from 66 to 70 grams. I'm not quite sure where this one specifically falls in that range, but let's just call it 68 to keep everyone happy today. I also got this yo in the traffic cone colorway. This thing looks insane. I kind of love it though. I think this is such a unique and fun colorway, and very cool one to use on such a unique yo-yo like this. So let's take a look around this very unique yo-yo. So the StupidWide is so ridiculously wide. This thing actually looks insane. Now obviously I've played with off-string yo-yos in the past and yo-yos that are pretty darn wide, but the fact that this thing has a kind of more normal diameter but then the extremely large width just makes it look so unique. So, I mean, for context, most off-string yo-yos are pretty wide, but they have a diameter to also match that. They're just a big yo-yo in general. This one's a little closer in terms of diameter to a normal yo-yo, but then the width is just ridiculous. It is literally insane. So I grabbed what I think is a pretty normal yo-yo in this day and age, which is the Maul Surveillance, and just look at the difference. It is ridiculous. This thing just looks so wild compared to a normal yo-yo. It is so much wider and bigger. So I guess the shape, I don't even know what to call it at this point. You can just see for yourself. It kind of curves down there. And then the cup, I guess it has a couple rings around, and it's actually got kind of a finger spin middle. And it's worth mentioning, this yo is actually ridiculously good at finger spins. And we'll talk more about that a little bit later, but kind of cool middle of the yo-yo. But overall, yes, this is an eye-catching yo-yo through and through. If you bring this thing to a competition, you are gonna get everyone looking at you, and everyone's gonna wanna try it out. So if you wanna draw some attention, it's already a great yo-yo for that. All right, so is the StupidWide just a stupid yo-yo? Can it actually perform? Guys, the answer is shockingly yes. You'd think looking at this ridiculous yo that this thing would be absolutely terrible and not even perform. Somehow, I don't know how he managed to do it, but this yo can actually do tricks. Now, first and foremost, you could probably assume this. This is not the most competition-oriented yo-yo. It's not meant to handle the most extreme and crazy tricks. It's meant to be fun. This is a fun yo-yo, and boy is it fun. It feels so weird throwing this thing down. like ripping it off the string and just doing some basic tricks with it is just kind of like gonna blow your mind the first time you do it. It's nuts. But shockingly, this yo-yo actually has a decent spin time, a good amount of stability, and can handle some tricks. As you can see here, I'm kind of plowing through a couple different rail combos, doing some string tricks, things like that, and it can actually hold up, and it bounds at the end. It's nuts. When I threw this thing down, I was expecting the absolute worst. I was like, there's no way this thing can spin for more than 20 seconds. There's no way I'm gonna be able to get through one of my combos. And I threw it down, and it had way more spin and stability than I thought. So I think you will all be pleasantly surprised when you throw this thing down. Just based on the appearance of it, it doesn't look like it's much, but it can actually do some tricks. Now I will say, when you put this yo-yo down and pick up a more conventional yo-yo, it is going to absolutely blow your mind. It's gonna feel so weird. The conventional normal yo-yo is gonna feel so small on the string, so hard to land tricks, it's ridiculous. Just keep in mind, it's gonna feel pretty weird when you switch between this and a more conventional yo-yo. But I would say that this yo-yo is weirdly good at some whips and hops and not so good at other ones. So what I mean by that is, for starters, the gap is so wide. It is ridiculously wide. So if you're doing kind of like Eli hop-like tricks, it's pretty hard to miss the string. I mean, it's just gonna land at some point in the yo-yo and then be pushed down to the center if you miss it a little bit. And then alternatively, when it comes to tricks more like whips, you know, a Brent Stoll, a hook, some of them were good, but other ones were not so good. And I think the reason for that is your loop that you kind of shoot over the yo-yo needs to be big enough to actually whip into the gap of the yo-yo. So for Brent Stolls, those were fine, but then for hooks and lacerations like that, some of them were honestly harder because your loop had to be big enough to fit over the big diameter of the yo-yo. So just kind of play around with that. It's very, very weird sensation. You'd think that this thing could just do all whips super easy, but I will say some things are a little bit harder because the string actually has to make its way over the yo-yo. There's so much real estate that it actually has to get on. But man, this thing is just a blast to use. It is so unique. It is such a kind of refreshing feel. Like, if you have been kind of bored of your existing yo-yos, throw this thing down, try it out, and you will not be disappointed because it feels so different. This thing is meant for fun. This thing is meant to keep yo-yo fresh, keep it fun, and just enjoy yourself with a very unique yo-yo. It's also worth mentioning that this yo-yo doesn't really break the bank. It's coming around like, I think, 35 bucks or so. So don't expect this to be the life-changing competition yo-yo you've always been waiting for. Somehow, Dale managed to nail the response pads on this thing. Like, the response system is incredible. I'm able to hit some pretty fun regens and binds. I will say that since this thing is so wide, it vibes quite a bit when you do regens, and sometimes even when you throw it down, it's got a good amount of vibe, but it's still just for fun. It doesn't have to be the smoothest yo-yo in the world. But yeah, the response pads that came with it and the default string, I actually had a really good time doing some super satisfying binds and doing even a couple more extreme ones. I would say tech tricks is where you're gonna run into some issues with this thing. It is so freaking big. It is almost impossible to land on one of the strings or just like touch your hand with it. I kept on knocking the yo-yo with my hand when I was trying to do like some wrist mount tech tricks and things like that, just because it accidentally was larger than I expected. So that's just something to keep in mind. But again, this yo-yo isn't made to fit in the most dense configurations. It's just meant to be fun. Grinds are actually pretty interesting with this yo-yo. So the finish of this 3D printing is like mostly smooth. It's got like kind of some like minor bumps here and there. It's very, very weird. So like you can kind of do some thumb grinds. There's like a little bit of a lip there, but finger spins are incredible. Oh my gosh. He engineered the cup just right so that when you do a finger spin, first of all, it looks ridiculous. Like, this thing looks so hilarious when it's spinning on your finger. But even more so, it just in general feels really good. And so you're able to do some finger spins for a good long time. Your finger will kind of lock in there at the bottom. So that's a lot of fun. I think you guys are gonna enjoy that one a lot. I was pleasantly surprised there. Okay, so in conclusion, the StupidWide is actually not a stupid yo-yo. It is a lot of fun. It's not gonna be your high-performing elite competition yo-yo, but you could probably guess that by looking at it. This yo-yo is very refreshing and a lot of fun. It's such a joy to throw down. It really kind of messes with your mind the first few times, especially when you switch between this kind of yo-yo and one that's a little bit more normal and conventional. But honestly, for 35 bucks to have a very refreshing and fun yo-yo experience, I think this one's a great buy. It's a lot of fun, it comes in some cool colors, and it's definitely gonna catch some attention at competitions. Once again, all the links and everything is in the description down below. Be sure to check him out. Dale is a really good guy, and he's got some pretty cool stuff. Alright, that's about it. Hope you guys all enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to leave a like, and also if you're new here and haven't seen my videos before, hit that subscribe button so you can see whenever I post a new video. I hope you guys all have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. Peace.